And the distillery. We didn't speak too much about the distillation.
Let's talk about distillation.
I think that distillation in Armagnac is something very important, and I know that Flavien, you are very excited about the distillation process. Armagnac is commonly a single distillation process from white wine with high acidity and low alcohol, about 11% alcohol. We're going to distill only once in the Alambic Armagnac, and we're going to obtain a spirit that's going to be about 58 to 60 something percent alcohol, which is about 116 to 1 maybe 25 proof, which is quite high. But the idea about doing only a single distillation is to capture most of the flavors contained in our white wines, to have them in the final spirit, in the final eau de vie. You know, I mentioned to you that the treasure of having those 4 grapes. I think that it is very important in order to capture those aromas, those differences, the complexity of the blend. I think that the single distillation really aims to do that. Another thing is that I mentioned to you that the aging time and our capacity to leave on the cask as long as possible our Armagnac makes that those aromas that can be a little bit rough when they are very young and sometimes a little bit, how can I say, present on the first tasting, they're going to smoother. They're going to be smooth over the time, and they're going to turn into bringing more complexity to the final, to the blend or to the vintage over the time. So I think that it makes really sense that Armagnac is the result of a single distillation, because Armagnac proves in the reality that it's aging its product very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And we are not shy about aging our Armagnac. And at Laubade, we have more than 3,000 casks. We produce 300 to 400 barrels every year. That proves you that we are aging our Armagnac a long, long time. We are not shy to do that, because obviously it's a financial effort that we are making. Very substantial, but we live for that. Our passion is to be, able to produce the best. So the finance should not rule. I'm sorry. We don't have a control that say, okay, this Armagnac has stayed too long in the cask. You should bottle it very quickly, otherwise you're going to lose some money. No, that's not the way we do. On the contrary, we say, the more we age our product and our capacity to judge if the Armagnac is good and our capacity to blend will guide our choice. And this is why single distillation makes a lot of sense to Armagnac and to Chateau de Laubade, I think.
But am I correct understanding that it's a single distillation that leads to maybe a lower proof than some other brandies at the end of the still, right off the still, that clear distillate might be a bit lower than other brandies, but therefore retaining more aromas, more flavors, maybe more congeners. And is that also why you need more time in the barrel? But is it also why it's going to be so rich in the end? Because when we say a single distillation, a continuous distillation, our viewers may think, well, okay, this is how light rums are made, this is how neutral grain spirit is made, and vodka is made this way. But first of all, you have one column, you don't have 5, and within that column, it's not a 30 feet high column with 20 trays. It's what, maybe 5 plates? It depends.
Yeah, it can depend, but we are talking so much different thing between what you mentioned and about what is the real thing with Armagnac. Flavien, don't forget that Armagnac is still very artisanal. It's really in the hands of family like ours, very low key, almost peasant, artisanal, and the scale of production is so small comparing to what you mentioned that we cannot relate it to a single distillation is always the same. The reason for this single distillation is exactly what you say, is to capture as much as possible those flavors, this complexity contained in our white wines, because over the time we are able to age them very long, and some will really get very interesting over the time. I think that that's why a very young Armagnac to us doesn't make sense. The two things about this intemporel number 5, I think, is first of all about the blend. There is a very significant amount of Bacchus grape, the grape that we really cherish at Laubade. To be exact, 41% is of Bacchus in this blend. We just pick the best, our best vintages, definitely with a significant amount of cask of Bacchus only to reach this 41% in the final blend. And the second thing is about the aging, overall aging. The youngest bas-armagnac in this blend is 12 years. Oldest, close to 45 years.
What about vintages? And this 1974 has been calling me, and I know it's fantastic. So what about this year in particular?
Yeah.
But what about the reason for its greatness, I'd say?
I think that like all the products that are linked to the weather and to the climate condition of a specific year, such as wine and Armagnac, obviously you have differences from one vintage to the other. So a lot of people ask me, but do you have bad vintages in Armagnac? I say that the result of the distillation makes that the variation is less important versus maybe a still wine. However, truly, I think that we have vintages that are superior or more interesting and more complex than others over the time. And that can also evolve with the aging in the barrel, in the cask. I picked this 1974 for two reasons. The first reason is its greatness. It's probably one of our best single vintage that we've produced at Laubade. The second reason is more, I would say, a heart reason.
Because you were born in 1974.
Not exactly. Could be. Very, very nearby. But this is the year my grandfather acquired the property from previous ownership. And, it's been already almost 30 years. And as the third generation...
it smells fantastic.
Thank you. As the third generation, I'm always thankful while opening a bottle of 1974.
For not drinking it all at this time.
Yeah, but when you start sipping this 1974, this is true that it's not easy to stop because it's so amazing. Just a few datas. So single estate bas-armagnac from 1974, 100%. By law, when it states the year, it must be only from that year of harvest and distillation. And by law, a vintage must be at least 10 years of age. Here, this is a vintage that is 36 years old already. And it's the result of blending the four grapes, Bacchus, Colombin, Uni Blanc, and Folle Blanche. This particular bottle has been bottled in July of 2010. And we were the first at Chateau de Laubade to mention the month and the year of the bottling. Why is it so important? Because the same...
So you're doing the questions too now, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
we can change the role. No, but I think that it's, a lot of people ask me why is it so important. I think that it is, for a single vintage, very important because the same 1974 that would have been bottled 5 years ago would not be the same, because as you know, Armagnac gets better, normally should get better over the time, thanks to the aging in oak. Because once it's bottled, it doesn't really evolve, or it's going to have a very, very slow evolution. Commonly, Armagnac will use oak from Gascony, but that is not the case for all the houses. Other houses might prefer to use maybe other kind of oak like Limousin or from the center of France. We at Laubade source 100% of our oak from the surrounding forest of Gascony.
How is it different?
It's different because the oak is very dark. We call it black oak. It's an oak that is very highly tainted, that gives a lot of taint to the Armagnac, hence the color, this beautiful color which is acquired naturally over the time. You can see that this VSOP is a beautiful orange color, and the more it ages, the darker it gets, only naturally. We don't use any caramel, any sort of additive. This oak is really great thanks to its high grain density to welcome those flavors and to make them maybe flourish or mature on a nice way over the time.
This is absolutely magnificent.
This 1974 I spent 36 years in the oak, and I mean, we are very, very happy about how it got to until now, and how it might still evolve over the time. And we are the warrant of that. And I can tell you that we are doing our greatest effort, our greatest passion as a team to really make sure that we are crafting those Armagnac, that we are maturing them slowly and providing the best oak. I think that being able to source the oak and to craft the barrel is something that to our standard is very, very important. We've been working with our own cooper for the last maybe 20 years now. Typically, he's gonna go in the forest and choose and pick with actually my father and choose the best oak that's gonna be prepared. We're gonna leave the staves at least during 3 years to be dried off naturally. There is no rush on that. There is a whole process of, maturing the oak before they are built into cask, and that's also a passionate part of our world of Armagnac. And the same way we really care for aging our Armagnac, we're gonna put the same amount of care in the making of our cask. We don't buy any single cask. We produce 100% of our cask that we need for aging our bas-armagnac. That's Château de Laubade XO, un assemblage d'eau de vie de minimum 12 ans d'âge pour la plus jeune eau de vie de bas-armagnac. Et on utilise des eaux de vie qui ont jusqu'à 25 ans dans l'assemblage. Le secret de la qualité de notre XO est à la fois sur la durée de vieillissement, puisque la durée moyenne est de 3 fois supérieure à ce que la loi exige pour un XO.